everybody, this is DIETRA Kelsey, and you're watching SISTAH TALK TV Show. This is our first show since the pandemic, and it's a lot going on, but we can only talk for so much. We're going to talk about the election, President Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Vice President Pence. What is this all about? What is this going to lead into after this weird but kind of, weird convention that just came on? Did you watch it? I know I did. And I was very attentive. It caught my attention. I don't know about you all. But hey, this is a recorded version of SISTAH TALK TV Show. But before we get into all of this, I want to introduce my guest. Sitting right next to me is ALPHEAUS Marcus. How you doing?
Good.
First time on SISTAH TALK TV Show. He's the founder for the Advocates for the Community Works at CEO at AMX Consultants and former Bronx director at Community Advocates Without Borders Network.
Yes.
And his quote, he always says, "I am the next Harlem City Councilman." And we're going to get into that, okay? Because you got to upseat, Mr. Perkins, okay?
Yeah.
All right, but sitting next to me is my main girl, sister friend, RHONDA Hanson, who has been on the show since the beginning. How you doing, baby?
I'm great. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm honored to be on the first show since the pandemic started. Yes, I am.
Yeah, the Zoom was just really getting to us, You couldn't really, really, the lighting was off. We really couldn't really get into it. I'm just used to a studio and used to a live show, but of course this is recorded. But hey, let's get into it. The convention, did you all watch the convention, first of all?
Not really.
Not really?
No.
Not even a little bit? How about yourself?
I watched some of the Democratic convention.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you think about that? I watched both of them. What did
Uh-huh.
you think about that?
And for me, it's political theater.
Political theater?
Yeah.
It was very good, I must say. I don't know who produced that for the Democrats, but it was who directed it. I didn't watch the credits, but I said, wow, y'all did a very good job.
Yes,
For
considering everything that they had to take into consideration for COVID protocols, absolutely. It
Yeah.
was well produced.
Yes, it was, and everybody was social distancing themselves like we are now. But let's get on to the Republican convention. Now, that was something else. That was produced, well, the producers were from The Apprentice. So to me, I felt like I was really watching something on television. I really felt like I was watching something that was just, living in America. I mean, all they were missing was Don King. The hairstyle and all that. But the songs, the fireworks at the White House, and somebody said on the social media, who's paying for all that? Who's because it was really, really elaborate. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, I felt like it was something from an alternate reality.
Alternate reality?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of alternate facts, alternate reality. Let's get down to what people are really talking about. Kamala Harris. She's the first woman of color to run for vice president of these United States. There are mixed views from our community, the black community, about her. Let's talk about that. Why do you think that there are some that are for her and there are some that are against her? But before we get into that, let's take a look at this video and we'll be right back.
My mother taught me that service to others gives life purpose and meaning. And oh, how I wish she were here tonight, but I know she's looking down on me from above. I keep thinking about that 25-year-old Indian woman, all of 5 feet tall, who gave birth to me at Kaiser Hospital in Oakland, California. On that day, she probably could have never imagined that I would be standing before you now and speaking these words. I accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States of America. I do so committed to the values she taught me, to the word that teaches me to walk by faith and not by sight, and to a vision passed on through generations of Americans, one that Joe Biden shares, a vision of our nation as a beloved community, where all are welcome, no matter what we look like, no matter where we come from, or who we love. A country where we may not agree on every detail, but we are united by the fundamental belief that every human being is of infinite worth, deserving of compassion, dignity, and respect. A country where we look out for one another, where we rise and fall as one, where we face our challenges and celebrate our triumphs together. Today, that country feels distant. Donald Trump's failure of leadership has cost lives and livelihoods. If you're a parent struggling with your child's remote learning,
Okay, that was Kamala Harris, and she just accepted the nomination for Vice President. You know, ALPHEAUS, I did not mention that you are a Republican. So I'm going to start off with you. What did you think about what you just saw?
I think it was more or less, how can I say it? It's scripted.
Scripted, okay.
It's more geared at an emotional response to get the people fired up without actually looking at the issues, what's been taking place. Her last statement in regards to education, I think that there sets up a continued narrative the way the black community don't focus on the issues of how their children is actually discriminated within the public school system. But, you know, she expresses division,
Right.
and that's something that's always been going on.
Okay, what do you think, Rhonda?
Well, yes, she does express the vision, and I think she is very strong as a speaker. I think she was chosen because they needed that, not only a feminine touch, but someone who could attack. I think she's going to be Joe Biden's attack dog. She'll,
really?
I
Yeah.
think, well, yeah.
Well,
And I think she's a very strong speaker. She can hold her own.
You know, you're right about her being an attack dog. I mean, I did like how she questioned Session when he was, I forgot what his title was, but he was in the House and she was questioning him about some of his duties or what he
Oh,
should have done.
Sessions is a mess.
Yeah, you know, I like how she was just getting on him, trying to make him answer the questions and so forth. So yeah, you're right that I think she's going to be a good attack dog. But let's go back. I will go back to the first question I asked before the video. Why do you all think that there's so much division in our community regarding Kamala Harris?
Well, I would state the emotional impact that it has within the black community of seeing a woman of color at that position. One, two, the emotional ties in regards to the way media is perpetuate the White House, but also the fact that people are willing to look at some of her past dealings as a district attorney, attorney general, right? But they will also ignore the fact that her as being a senator in the United States government, she hasn't really put forth any proposals that would benefit the black community.
I know that back in California, she was a prosecutor back then, and she incarcerated a number of people. The incarceration did go up. What I'm not sure about is that were all those men black? You know, was it just in general? And I'm just trying to be really fair about this because she is a woman of color, and I will say that, a woman of color. And when a woman, to me, I feel like women are more attacked than men are. they really attacked her with her personal love life, where a bunch of these guys out here who have run for office have had mistresses and did all types of things, but it's really not a big deal about that, you know.
I mean,
So, yeah, so, you know, that's how I'm looking at it. What do you think, Rhonda?
What do I think about what?
The division.
Well, if there's
within
going
our
to be
community.
division because some people are are all excited because it's a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and some people are upset because it's not an African American woman.
Okay.
There's division because she championed proposals that criminalized truancy.
Right. Right.
And not only did it criminalize truancy, it put parents, whether it was a two-parent family or a single-parent home, in jeopardy and in the possibility of being arrested because their children had been truant. So it goes to common sense that if you're been jailed, there's no way for you to keep watch over your child, whether they're going to school or not.
Yeah, that's true.
There is division because as composed and well-spoken as she is, she has very strong ties to police unions.
Well, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
So I think those are several good points where people might be divided.
Yeah, when I was reading up on her about the truancy, they said the truancy went down under her guide. It didn't really go into detail on how the parents were solving that, but it did somewhat go down. Did they go back to school? I would assume so. As far as the police union is concerned, for a while they were against her, and it took her a long time to get them to support her again. And it could have been, now this is just an assumption, right? It could have been that there was a case that she hid evidence. This guy may or may not have been innocent, something like that, and she hid the evidence of that. And because of that, she was caught. Thousands of cases, I think, that she was under had to be dismissed or thrown away. You know, I'm not sure.
That wasn't predominantly one of the main reasons why the officers' unions out there in California, especially when she was at San Francisco, had kind of strayed away from it, was behind the Oscar Grant case.
Okay, tell us
Oscar
about.
Grant case is actually what was the movie Fruitvale Station was about,
Oh, okay, yes, right.
where
Mhm.
unarmed black was beaten as well as killed
Mhm.
by a police officer, and one of the officers had actually, he called himself misquoting or trying to mislead the investigation by exempting certain details of the case.
Mhm.
And the fact that her office was forced
Mhm.
to prosecute was one of the reasons why they really had like issues with her. Because she wouldn't keep the professional courtesy
Mhm.
that majority of district attorneys within the nation, especially here in New York, keep when it comes down to unarmed shootings
Okay.
of blacks with police officers.
So she went against the grain. You could
She
pretty much
was
say.
forced to go against the grain, but she more or less she didn't want to go. She really didn't want to prosecute the case.
Oh, okay. She didn't want to be involved in it.
She didn't want to be involved with the case.
Okay,
Just
all
like
right.
so many other district attorneys here, you know, especially here in New York. Their professional relationship with the police department is one of the reasons why it's such a conflict of interest
Okay.
for them to actually prosecute the police the way they should be prosecuted.
Okay, we're going to take a look at this video of Biden, and we'll be right back.
Ella Baker, a giant of the civil rights movement, left us with this wisdom: give people light, and they will find the way. Give people light. Those are words for our time. The current president has cloaked American darkness for much too long. Too much anger, too much fear, too much division. Here and now, I give you my word. If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst. I'll be an ally of the light, not the darkness. It's time for us, for we the people, to come together. And make no mistake, united we can and will overcome this season of darkness in America. We'll choose hope over fear, facts over fiction, fairness over privilege. I'm a proud Democrat, and I'll be proud to carry the banner of our party into the general election. So it's with great honor and humility I accept this nomination for President of the United States of America. But while I'll be a Democratic candidate, I will be an American president. I'll work hard for those who didn't support me, as hard for them as I did for those who did vote for me. That's the job of a president, to represent all of us, not just our base or our party. This is not a partisan moment. This must be an American moment. It's a moment that calls for hope and light and love, hope for our future, light to see our way forward, and love for one another. America isn't just a collection of clashing interests of red states or blue states. We're so much bigger than that. We're so much better than that. You know, nearly a century ago,
Wow, Biden. Biden spoke about what America is all about and everything. What do you all think about what he just said? Okay,
I'll let her go
okay.
I got bamboozled by the audacity of hope before, so
Oh, really?
I've heard this hope song before.
Okay, what about you?
This is 8th time running for president. See,
This is his time?
this is 8th time.
A good time?
No, it's 8th time.
Oh,
Number
yeah.
8.
Yeah, that's right.
And he's been a champion. He speaks about civil rights now, but he's been a champion of segregation.
And she said that
Majority of
during
his
the
whole
debate.
career.
Yeah,
Majority of his whole
Kamala-
career.
Yeah, Kamala said that during her debate, yeah.
So, can I trust that he has a changed mind, changed heart against blacks because he was underneath a black? Not at all. He was placed there. Him as a senator, he's done nothing for blacks. Never wanted to do anything for blacks. One of the reasons that blacks have so much, how can I say it, behind the white, average white American here is due to the fact that we don't have access to what can actually make us equal within the socio-economic infrastructure.
Right.
There's never been any laws proposed or passed in regards to ending the discrimination within the financial institutions for blacks. He has been a firm individual that's stayed away from that. When you look at the banking system itself, we get charged a 5% more interest rate than whites. When you look at the insurance industry, which is a part of the financial industry, we get redlined more than whites. So for him to quote the civil rights and us being black, knowing that we haven't really benefited from the civil rights movement, it's just a trick.
Okay, what do you say? You said you've been bamboozled.
He's selling hope.
Hope.
He's selling hope.
Hope.
I can't eat hope. I can't pay my rent with hope.
You know, okay, what are you saying, stage manager? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, so we're going to go to the Trump video, then we're going to just collaborate, just talk about everything. We'll be right back after we see this video of President Trump. He is our president.
And to bring prosperity to our forgotten inner cities, we worked hard to pass historic criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones, and long-term funding of historically black colleges and universities, and before the China virus came in, produced the best unemployment numbers for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans ever recorded. And I say very modestly that I have done more for the African American community than any president since Abraham Lincoln, our first Republican president.
Wow, Wow, like I said, that convention was something else. I was sitting there, I felt like, now I wasn't there, but I can imagine how it would be at a baseball game. I mean, it was like,
It's the most frightening thing I've seen. Since I saw Steve Mnuchin's name on a $50 bill. That was absolutely frightening.
so what you think about all that? I mean, what has he done for African Americans?
Well, besides what he stated with criminal reform and everything, he basically rolled back what Joe Biden did.
Okay.
That's basically all he did. He rolled back what it was that Joe Biden implemented back in 1994, which was a backlash behind O.J. Simpson. Because if you
Right.
look at the signing of the bill, right, the bill was introduced in the legislation in September.
Okay.
O.J. had killed Nicole in June,
Okay, what bill was that again?
the 1994 crime bill.
Okay.
If you look at the backlash, if you look at Joe Biden's speech on that, he speaks about how Clinton called him an outrage and everything. And 94, during that period, was the O.J. time.
Right, right.
You can say that, but what I know he rolled back, and he had Jeff Sessions roll back, was all the attempts and the agreements that police had for reformation because of all of the violence and the brutality. And he had Jeff Sessions roll back all those consent decrees in specific police departments where they actually agreed that they knew they needed reform.
You know, was he responsible? I think is that part of the crime bill was a 3 strikes you're out.
That's
Was
3
it?
strikes you're out
That's what
on
I'm
Joe
talking about.
Biden.
Yeah, okay. That was 3 strikes that you. I remember that crime bill, and I remember there were community advocates and organizers who were against that,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of black folks that were for that also,
Of course.
because we were a victim of that. You know, I just wanted to add that. But here's my other question to everybody here. People are saying they're voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they're just saying not Trump. I think that's a bully tactic.
I think that's irresponsible.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the Democrats have to be held responsible, accountable for what they say they're going to do.
They have not said what they're going to do.
Well, yeah, they haven't, have they? You know, it really was Trump inherited a good economy, and he just let it sink. That's what they're saying.
Well,
And Trump, to me, is just
let me say this here, right? One, when we understand the actual voting aspects when it comes down to the president, under Article 2, it's the Electoral College.
right.
The popular votes have nothing to do with the actual presidency. And if
Right.
you look at the backlash from the 2016 election, they blamed Trump being in office on the black community.
Yeah, that's another bully contact.
They blamed it on
yeah.
the black community. They said
Yeah.
the black community didn't come out to vote, knowing that it's not the popular votes that you and I go in there and vote for, because we don't vote for actual president, we vote for the delegate. The delegate is usually somebody that we are familiar with by name, based off the marketing aspects of it, because we're trained to vote by name recognition. And if we see the name, regardless if they've done anything for our community, we'll vote.
So who are we voting for? That's what I'm trying to
You
figure
vote
out.
for the delegates.
You vote for the delegates, yeah.
And when you vote for the delegates, the problem comes in at this here.
Okay, when I say who are we voting for, and I agree with what you're saying, is that here's the word out. People are saying that Biden is not going to make it. You know, they
Nonsense,
feel
and he
like
probably won't.
I mean, if he becomes president, he's not going to make it. Maybe to the second term, maybe not even finish the first term. This is the word out in the street. So, are we voting really for Kamala Harris?
No, we're voting, people are voting just for the simple fact of the media's perpetuation of what goes on within the White House, the reality show.
Right.
They're voting for the simple fact that, again, they feel that ratings would be much more better if you have another president.
Right.
As far as the, how can I say it, the old song, the political aspects, because we know he's not a politician, seasoned politician. He's a reality show television person who haven't had business that went under.
Right.
But we are trained, again, to vote just on popularity and loyalty to our parties.
Yeah, it's all about the ratings, and that's what Trump is focusing on.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. All right. They got it now.
Ain't no way for me to love you if you won't let me. It ain't no way for me to give you all you need if you won't let me give you all of me. I know a woman's duty is to have and love a man, and that's the way it was planned. Oh, but how can I give you all that I can if you're tying both of my hands? Oh, ain't no way. It ain't no way. It ain't no way, baby. It sure ain't no way. It ain't no way for me to love you if you won't let me. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Hard, cold, and cool as a man who paid too much for what he got. And if you need me, like you say you do, baby, please, 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 don't you know I need you? Ain't no way. It ain't no way, it ain't no way, baby. Oh no, it ain't no way. Sure ain't no way. It ain't no way for me to love you if you won't let me. Let me, baby. If you won't let me, it ain't no way. It ain't no way.
All right. You know, I'm mesmerized, okay? Like, ain't no way I can sing like that. This is DIETRA KELSEY, and again, you're watching Sister Talk TV show. We're talking about the election, the pandemic, social justice, and thank you for tuning in. But hey, we're going to get back to the conversation. Hey, let's talk about Which candidate do you think has a solution for the pandemic, the COVID-19, the coronavirus, that if you say it on Facebook will be banned?
The solution for it?
You know, because Trump says during his campaign speech, during the convention, that, you know, by the end, I'll take that back. He said some time ago that by November.
He said
everything
in April
should-
this thing would be over. That's what he said. First he said it was a hoax. Only one person had it, and then he said as soon as it got hot, it would disappear.
Right.
And he had, from the time that he was informed, from the time that people were telling him about it, he delayed, and I think he delayed so he could set up all of these monetary benefits from selling PPE, from getting his connections with hydroxychloroquine, because you know Michael Cohen said that he had made a deal for him with the person with the hydroxy.
No.
So he dragged his feet from January all the way up through, practically up through March.
Okay, so he made his deal right now, but do you think that right now that he has a solution?
No, he
got
doesn't
the
have a
medicine.
solution
So you-
because
do you
he disassembled the pandemic agency that was in place to actually deal with this. There were people there, there were templates there, and he disassembled the agency.
Okay, what do you think about the pandemic, ALPHEAUS? Because I'm interested to know, because we spoke about that a little bit.
We touched on that.
Right.
You have to watch Event 201. Event 201 is a group of people from media, medical, financial institutions that come together every year. John Hopkins is the moderator.
Okay.
And what they do is they conduct an exercise
Okay.
on how to deal with a pandemic.
So they have done that recently?
They
before
did that in October.
Okay,
This was done in October
2019, okay.
2019. And within that exercise, they failed. Now, when you look at that exercise itself, right? You look at the same exact events that took place in that exercise, took place in real time. We were held in 95 masses, the economy, certain narratives in regards to the pandemic.
So you're saying that even if Trump had left the pandemic agency alone, this would have happened anyway?
No.
This is what I'm saying to you.
He's saying,
Okay.
he's talking about the tabletop exercises where
Yeah,
they go
but he
through
said,
it.
yeah,
This is
but,
this is what I'm
okay,
saying.
all right,
I'm saying this here. When you look at Event 201,
okay.
the CDC, ECDC, John Hopkins, Dr. Fauci's institution, when you look at everything, what you'll get out of it is two things, one of two things. You'll either get that they say it was a virus and they knew about it,
Okay,
or you'll get that we're in an actual live exercise. When you look at the characteristics of this alleged virus,
alleged, you say?
I say alleged.
Okay,
And the reason why I say alleged is because it's October to May. When you look at the flu, it's from October, flu season, to May.
okay,
When you look at the testing for this, it's the same way they test for emphysema. They dig the hole in your nose and then, not dig a hole, but they, swab your nose just to see what it is.
okay, so what's the point of that model you said that we should look at? I mean,
When you look at the model, right, this is what they said in it. They said the first thing we have to do is get media involved, social media, and then politicians on board. These are the three main things that they said.
even.
When you look at the media, it was controlled throughout the media. Nothing else was talked about. When you look at social media, anytime you say anything about it, they give you a fact check all of a
Right,
sudden.
yeah,
So the two components of what's said in there is actually taking place. It's all over the media, and it's fact checked by who? Social media.
okay,
When you look at the actual coronavirus itself, it's been in the lab since the late 50s. No matter how you say there's a different strand. You know, it's not what they say it is. It's more potent. We do know that the flu will mutate. Same characteristics as the flu. It just brings on a stronger form of pneumonia, and that hasn't been proven yet.
So what? So what?
Well,
we
I
saying?
know I
Go ahead.
live in the Bronx where they put the mass graves. They put the mass graves up there. They had refrigerated trucks outside hospitals and funeral homes because the bodies were stacking up.
Correct.
So folks was dying from this. And I don't think anybody has a solution for the virus. What we need is, what I think we need is a leadership around it. Because whether it's been around since the 50s, it's called a novel virus because it was from 2019 that when they saw it. But we need someone to say, this is how we have to handle it. There have been contradictions from Trump from the beginning, with him first starting out saying it was a hoax when he already knew about it. And without having people coming up and saying, you have to wear a mask, we have to lock down, we have to do social distancing, we have to care about each other, not just be rugged individuals, it's never gonna stop.
You agree also?
What I'm gonna say is this here. They said from the beginning, 80% of the people that get this virus, right? 98% will fully recover. They said out of
98%.
98%.
I don't
CDC
believe that. Today I read where a 30-year-old who had survived coronavirus, who had survived after 3 months and 2 negative tests, was reinfected, and the strain was a variation.
Well, let's do this here, right? They test for the coronavirus by testing the antibodies, right? They don't really have a definitive, nobody's been confirmed as dying from actual coronavirus. Every death has been listed as
You
possible.
said nobody's been confirmed from dying from corona?
Yes. Every death that's been associated with this has been possible. When you look at the death certificates, it's always been possible corona-related.
When you look at the death certificates, they're trying to fudge all of those numbers. And I'm not disagreeing with you. What you're saying may be right because they're trying to fudge these numbers, trying to keep
Listen,
the CDC,
they
confirm.
telling the CDC how to handle the numbers,
they-
and they're starting to take some of the people who are actually dying from COVID and saying that it wasn't COVID.
Yeah.
So
They conflated the
you can
numbers.
say that.
Yeah, they're
When you
playing
look at
the number.
when you look at the first death, right? The first death in New York City area was a guy that worked in Yonkers Raceway. They say he was the first victim that confirmed for coronavirus. Then they retracted it by saying he died from a heart attack.
Wow.
What we do know is they started pushing the two narratives. First, the drug for malaria.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think you're absolutely right.
Well, let's look at
That
the
is nothing
economy.
but contradiction.
Let's look at the economy.
It's nothing but
how the pandemic
contradictions.
has affected the economy. I think both of you all have points there, but let's look at the economy right now. Let's look at how it's affecting the economy. Unemployment is up. I think, was it 50 million Americans are out of work?
Just about.
Just about 50. What do you think the candidates or the president is going to do about that? Is this the new norm? Are we going to be living off the government? Or is this going to become a socialist country where you have to have pick 2 cans of beans, do this and do that to get what you want? I mean,
That's where it was perceived to go, because when you look at the actual physical job aspects, how can anybody who's conditioned to believe that this virus is out there have a conscience of going someplace where they got to interact with people? You've seen what it's done from the beginning. They said it was from China.
right.
You see how people started treating people on the trains that
In
was,
China,
that was
but,
Asian.
Yeah, but now they found out it's from Europe. Just want to put that.
No,
in
they
there.
saying this strand here was from Europe. That's the
strand
thing.
here
They
was-
saying the strand in New York is from Europe.
So
But-
nothing came from China, from the, okay.
But
Right.
the narrative's changed so much. And then
Exactly.
When you look at when they say testing, who is it that they want to test it on?
The narrative is
Africans.
constantly changing. The contradictions there are a myriad of contradictions. The same way Trump said, I modestly say I've done more for black people than anybody else. That's a contradiction right there. He's talking about how damn modest he is. While he's bragging about himself. He will contradict himself in a sentence, in a tweet. Not only will he contradict himself, he will lie. The man can multitask like crazy.
All right, but you limited that just to Trump, but it's the governors.
I'm not limiting it to Trump. I'm talking about the cut that we saw where he said, I modestly say. I'm not limiting to Trump. They're all liars.
But
They're all liars on this
So
bus.
what do y'all think about the unemployment? There's jobs. You know, there are a lot of people that are not going to be called back to work.
That's a
period.
fact.
You know,
There's a lot of
this is
people-
like the new norm, the new everything. Even our area of expertise, the entertainment field. And so
It's
forth.
planned obsolescence for us,
Yeah,
Deidre.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
planned obsolescence. There are
Yeah.
people going, oh, look what we're getting done with 250 fewer people at work.
Yeah.
Or look what we're getting done with people doing, telecommuting or working remotely. Look what we're getting done without paying for this, that, and the other benefit.
You know what you're finding out right now? You find out that all those positions were obsolete.
We're obsolete before.
It was obsolete. These were people that wasn't doing their jobs in the beginning, and we hired more people for it, and we really didn't need it.
I don't think those jobs were obsolete. I think there were a lot of people who were doing the jobs of 2 and 3 other people.
Yeah.
I saw there were people were being downsized. People have been being downsized for decades, and the people who were there all of a sudden were doing the jobs of 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
And now,
That was the first wave of
this is
2008.
a way for corporations to get even more money than they got from the tax breaks, more money than they're getting from the CARE Act and all of these so-called stimulus packages where they're skimming stuff off. They're skimming the money.
I want to ask you all this. Who do you all think will win?
When?
Uh-huh.
I don't care.
You don't care? It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
Who do I think what?
Will win the president? Who will be the president?
It'll-
Who will be the president? Yeah.
Well, I think the possibility of Trump being president again is distinct between the possibility of foreign intervention from wherever it would come from, with the continued manipulation and controversy around voting, besides the voter suppression, closing down polls, making it just about impossible for people to have polls near them, and then all of this craziness with the post office around mail-in balloting. And here's another one where he's doing the contradictions. He's going, that's going to be rigged, when him and half of his cabinet and administration been voting by mail, absentee ballot.
Yes. Yes.
Can I say something?
Sure. Please.
Anybody that's followed the closings of the Postal Service knows this has been taking place for over 10 years, maybe more. 10 to 15 years tops. They've been closing postal offices throughout the country for years.
Okay.
Nobody said anything.
Right. So, but
People
but
have
now-
said it.
Yeah.
The people on the ground, the grassroots have said it, because the post offices serve multiple services to people.
The
But
post
don't-
office
but
is a
should they
failing
be-
system.
Yeah.
This is one of the
But-
reasons
but
why they was
right now-
closing.
But right now, should they be closing because of this pandemic?
They was
A lot of
already
people-
closing.
Well, I think right now, shouldn't it be an exception because of the pandemic? There are a lot of people that don't want to go out into these, the voting facilities to vote because of the COVID-19.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, please.
You look at the mail delivery today
Okay,
compared to maybe 15, 20 years ago.
yes.
We're actually seeing postal workers deliver mail all the way up to 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Right,
We've never seen that.
no.
In the 70s,
When I was growing up, mail was delivered twice a day.
you seen the mail being delivered early in the morning.
When did you grow up? I'm gonna get
No, that's how old I am. That
In the
is
70s,
really.
in
It
the
was
70s,
delivered twice a
It was
day.
delivered in the morning time.
Right,
Post office was closed by at least 5, 6 o'clock.
right.
When you look at what's going on now, with deliveries being at 8 o'clock, that tells you one thing.
What it tells me.
They're milking the job because they want to show that they need. But the reality, people.
How could they be milking the job when they're being told this truck has got to leave here whether it's full of mail or not? Who's milking that job?
Let me say, you have more people that subscribe to emailing. How many people buy stamps? Because that's where they get their money from.
I don't know about other people. I buy stamps.
You may be one of, out of 339
I buy them too. I buy
million
them
and
too.
99 that buy stamps.
I do.
You may be one of
Yeah.
me.
And the Postal
They do
Service
not-
is not supposed to be profit making. It is a service.
No, they get their money based off, set up through selling stamps. They've lost a
It
lot.
don't matter how many stamps they sell if they got to pay benefits going 75 years ahead for
All right.
for their workers.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank
You
you.
brought up the money that they have to pay was based out of the surplus that they already had.
So- Okay.
The United States Post Service
Whether
had a-
it's based on the surplus that they already had or not, now they can't afford to pay 75 years for people who haven't even been born yet working at the post
So why are
office.
they closing the post office then?
because it's always been failing.
Okay.
You can't tell a
But
person
why
that
now?
failed.
Okay, so this is a big.
Deidre, if you go
been-
according
they've
to
been-
what he's saying, then you might as well close down the MTA here in New York City.
Okay, let's move on to, because of time, we're gonna come back to that. But because of time, let's talk about Jacob Blake. Police killings, police brutality, protesters are being shot and killed by this other guy, Rittenhouse, 17 years old. But let's focus on Jacob Blake, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Kenosha, Wisconsin. He was shot 7 times in the back. And it appears that these police officers, they may get prosecuted.
They should be.
They may get prosecuted. How do you all feel about that? Because there was somebody else before Blake got shot. There was this white guy. He was 25 years old. He was shot by the police officer in front of his family. And his father went on to change the laws. They got a $1.4 million settlement. He did not sign the confidentiality agreement, but his father went on to change the laws that the police cannot investigate themselves. Because the father, who's a veteran, was just really taken back of how the police officers were basically lying,
Of course.
changing their stories and all that. So these guys, I'm thinking they may get
They should be.
prosecuted.
They should be
Okay.
prosecuted.
Okay.
One of the things you got to understand is this here. It's not perpetuated. More whites get killed by police than blacks. That's a fact.
More whites. Get,
More
okay.
whites. The reason why it's not propagandized in the media is because if you show poor whites that they was being treated the same way as blacks, then the lens of racism would actually open up more than anything. We're poor and we're being treated the same way.
Right.
So why are we hating them? When you look at, again, more whites being killed than blacks, if you kill 20 million blacks, you're going to look at us as we're an endangered species. Whereas if you kill 20
More
million
whites
whites,
are being killed because they're more criminals. That's why they're being killed. When the blacks who are being attacked because basically the police are coming from a nationalist point of view. They are supremacists. They earn their stripes killing us. And I don't actually. I feel like how much respect do whites have for themselves if what he's saying is a fact that more whites are killed by police. I saw one policeman running from a naked man who had a sword. Running from a naked white man who had a sword, whereas we can be walking into de-escalating some kind of incident in our own community, and the cops will come in and kill us. That happened to Eric Garner. That's what happened to Jacob Blake. They were de-escalating whatever little argument was going on, and the cops came in and killed them.
What you have to say?
I'm gonna respond to what you're saying. One, you have systemic racism. Whites itself is through media. Mainstream white media has perpetuated and depicted blacks in a negative light. We are viewed as aggressive, can't be spoken to, and physical, willing to engage in physical confrontation. That's the depiction, that's the state of mind that they have.
Yes, you're
The
right.
fact that we have in our communities where majority of the killings are from people that know one another, whose families know one another, to where the relationship is close enough to say that we can be families. The mindset is saying, I would rather make it home before they do. We have to change that narrative. We look at all these organizations that talk that Black lives, you know, community and everything, but until we start going within our community itself and empowering our communities to stay away from the I like to call it the self-genocidal mentality, we're always gonna have this here problem. Because media,
I think it's terrible that the police use images of us for target practice.
oh no, that's a fact.
Okay.
That's a fact.
I want to ask you this, Alphea. I'm sorry,
Alpheaus.
Alpheaus, I'm sorry. I want to ask you this. What do you think about the Republican Party?
What I think
Now.
about the Republican
Now.
They don't
And
have
why
an
are
identity.
you a Republican? And I ask you that because you're running for Harlem City Council, and we all know it's really Democrat. This is a
Of course.
Democratic community and all that. What do you think about the Republican Party now?
The Republican Party now doesn't have an identity.
But you're still a Republican.
Oh, yes,
What
it does.
What I would say is this here, all right? What I would say is this here. Neither party has an agenda for the black community.
The right wing, left wing, still the same birds that the.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the fact they don't have a agenda for the black community, we must give ourselves a 50-50 chance. And when you look at our communities and what it's been represented by, it's been predominantly Democrats. When you look at the United States population, it's predominantly Democrat. When you look at New York State alone, out of 19 million, 12.5 are Democrats.
Let me ask you this: do you think Donald Trump has hurt black people since he's been
Heard or
since he has been
has he
president?
heard?
Hurt black people. I'm just.
Are you asking me?
I'm asking both of y'all.
I think he doesn't. I think Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody but Donald Trump. I think the Republican Party is a shell, a mere shell of its former self, and it wasn't that great to begin
How about
with.
the Democratic Party? If we want to talk about that, how about the Democratic Party?
They don't have a platform for us. They don't have an agenda for us either. It's theater. It is theater as we walk into fascism.
Yeah,
I mean, she basically agreed with what I said. Neither party has an agenda.
I don't have a lot of disagreement with you.
This is why we must inject our community's agendas in
But
both
I don't know
parties.
about that 50-50 chance you're talking about. 50-50 chance to what?
It's a fact. We must.
No,
inject-
wait. Don't tell me it's a fact. I don't know what you're talking about. What is a 50-50 chance?
Our community agendas must be injected in both parties.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
where the 50-50 chance comes in.
Okay, because of
They're
time.
not listening to us.
Because
They
of
don't care
time.
about us.
Okay, we're going to end on that note. But I want to acknowledge Chadwick Boseman. We all know that he succumbed to colon cancer. I think it was yesterday, Friday, August the 28th. What are your thoughts on that? He had colon cancer. You said you met him before?
Yeah.
And he used to volunteer?
Chad was a mentor over at Schaumburg Library.
Okay.
And I used to send kids to him, at-risk youth to him. This is before he started getting really into acting. And he used to empower the kids because
Oh, really?
he could relate to them. That's how I know Chad. I know him through, like I said,
So he was really involved in the
Yes.
community. Do you have any thoughts about Chad?
I know him as an actor, and I was directing a project. I was on my way home when I lived in Brooklyn. He was sitting in Fulton Park eating, and I was on my way to the train, and I said, "Oh, I want you to, in my reading, could you do this?" And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm a little busy." Next thing I know, he's doing the Jackie Robinson story.
You know something, you all had the chance to grace his energy, and he seems like to be a great guy and just a good person. I know he gave his award away to the guy who saved a lot of people at HIHOP, in New Jersey. But I do want to say something about that. He was 43 years young. He did a lot. He was focused, and I believe he never forgot where he came from, just based on what you're saying and based on his response to you. Also, colon cancer, although he was 43, and doctors are telling us to get ourselves checked out for colon cancer around 50 years old, it's pretty important for us to really have annual or biannual or whatever checkups.
Yes.
You know, and if you're feeling kind of off, you know, just don't go with what somebody in a white coat says. You know, you know your body, you know what's going on. And it's okay to question people. I question them all the time, and you can ask them 2 or 3 times if you don't understand. Hey, we have to close the show. I want to give my shout out to ZAKKEE Z STARMAN for the creator and producer of SISTAH TALK TV Show. Also, I want to give my shout out to Mark McPhee, the associate producer of this segment of SISTAH TALK TV Show. And I know he's not doing too well right now, but I know he will be better. Shout out to Mark McPhee. I just want to let you know I love you. Also, my main man, Stanley Mitchell. He always come through. That's ZAKKEE's man right there. I just had to say that. Once again, thank you so much, Rhonda,
Hey,
for calling. She's
anytime,
always a phone
anytime.
call away. We just call her. She just flies down here like Superwoman. And also, ALPHEAUS, Marcus, first time. We look forward to have you back. What's your contact information? Anybody needs to contact?
Any issues in regards to the community, you can contact me at Advocates, the number 4, the community at gmail.com. We deal with issues as far as NYCHA,
Okay.
police incidents with the community,
Okay,
anything
what's
having to do with the urban community.
All right, Ron.
Rhonda Handsome Comedy on Facebook. Follow me, Rhonda Handsome Comedy on Facebook, Rhonda Handsome on Twitter, Rhonda Full on Instagram.
Okay, and I'm DIETRA KELSEY. You can contact us on Facebook, SISTAH TALK TV Show on Facebook. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, remember to stay in the light.
Ever feel alone? Say the word, I'll be right